we are back for another Hockey Nation and Ab Nation on the great Saturday night, February 7th, 2026. I'm laughing because I have to turn off one light. I have to push my my arm all the way out, and then I was trying to stay in the camera, everything like that, so I cannot do it. Like my mic go to another direction anyway. So here's a welcome back, everybody. Hopefully an amazing, great night. And a great day and a great weekend. Olympics is right here and in Canada. I already have one medal. Like you said, Mark, Valérie Maltais did it. Team Canada won today, but the score 4-0 against the Team Swiss. And Laval played today, won the fifth straight game, but the score 4-1. Belzile had 2 goals. And another great game by Jonathan Roy. Roy had a good game last night, but tonight he have another better team. Jacob Fuller was great between the pipe. He stopped only gave 1 goal. Really chippy game between both teams. Maybe not the referee have a good game today. I don't want to complain about the referee, but it was not the best game of the ref today. Simone was upset, and French, I almost said that similar was in tabar. He was not happy about Sven Carl from the referee. But good game to watch. I wake up at 3:30. I thought to put the go online, but I did not do it. I said, you know what? I'm going to prepare the show tonight because I won't talk about the Montreal Canadiens. Because definitely, guys, I know you're going to be upset with me, but maybe, Coach, you crazy. I disagree with you because I believe now the rebuild is over, guys. That's all. It's become a playoff team, the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm going to give you the reason behind that. Why they are now, in my opinion, not a rebuild team anymore, and why we consider them one of the best top 10 in NHL. I said, you know what? I need help. I cannot talk with myself and for 2 hours talking and prove my point about the rebuild team. I said, he's back in the house for many. Tonight, he missed a couple of weeks because he's busy with other projects, but I'm very happy he said yes for tonight. And I know you guys will be happy to see him back in the house at the Hockey National Show. He's ready to rock and roll, sit in Hawkesbury, and really talk about his favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens, but also for his favorite sport, the hockey. So welcome back. Marco Larrabee is in the house tonight.
Yes, sir. Hey, Hockey Nation. It's been a minute. Missed you guys. Been pretty busy working on a couple of projects, but really, really excited to jump on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Olympics cooking, coach. I already miss 2 nights without hockey is no fun, but it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be some excellent hockey that we're gonna see. We've been building up to the Olympics. So, but right now it sucks. No hockey, but we always have each other to talk about, and lots of cool, interesting things happening with the Montreal Canadiens. So a fun couple hours here with you and the gang here, Coach. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm looking to talk to you. We had fun conversation, talk about NHL, going to talk about the playoff race, everything. So I think we'll do a good subject to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, also it's fun players. And then we know 25 games remaining in the playoff. I'm going to talk about compared where they are today compared was before. So that's the reason I said the rebuild is over. And definitely the people in the show will be happy to sharing with their knowledge about the Montreal Canadiens. And like Roger Bouchard back in the house, Randy. Welcome back, Randy. Thanks to be with us. Tony knocked the door tonight. Welcome back, Tony. RJ Calabo with news and update. RJ said the Super Bowl tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll be live at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, guys. Join me live. We're going to talk about, we're going to do the party of the Super Bowl. Dan Asham with Colette is in the house. PLW is now on the UFC tonight. Claude Richard from Ottawa. Welcome back. Eminem from British Columbia. Welcome back again, Randy. And then we have PS, Mark Elliott, Samuel back in the house tonight. PS, talk about hockey for sure. And do we have anybody else? I think I hit Warren for Manitoba. Winnipeg, Warren, welcome back. Warren, by the way, everybody. Mr. Smith, your neighbor of Dan Asham, is also in Winnipeg. Dan Asham. Jake the Snake, what's up? Welcome back, Jake. And then Tony, welcome back also. Hopefully, I've been following him because I would like to see him back with Montreal Canadiens. He will need some grits, said about Blais today. So that's what we got, guys. Everything like that. And then women hockey, Canada 4-0, Switzerland. It's 50 shots versus 6. That's a clinic. It was only 1-0, Marco. I don't know if you watched the game, but it was only 1-0 at the beginning of the third period. Yeah. You have a power play, and then they capitalize on that power play. But we have to give credit for the goaltender of the Switzerland with all the blocks. And they did the stop and the save. And I'm watching. You can watch the game live back. Is not live anymore, but it's still online on the TSN right now. They do again the game. And big game for Canada. Next one, Finland. And then after that, they play the Team USA at some point. So we're going to follow up with that team for sure. What is your brew, Marco? What is
I actually ran out. I was just going to mention in the chat. Yeah, I'm out of brews. I didn't get a chance to go pick some up. So tonight, I'm just rocking a good old Diet Pepsi, So
here we go. Gary Connery, I apologize, Gary. I saw you clip, but I was talking, so I apologize, Gary. Welcome back, the best driver or UPS on that one. Standerman, welcome back also. Thanks to be with our Canadian Live Show. And like we do at the airlines, let's see what we got. I'm not sure if I put yours there, Marco. Wait a minute. We have to wait if I did it or not on this one. I think I did it. So let's start with the headlines for everybody. I'm going to talk about Marco, the first one. It's bad when?
It's bad when you put somebody's name in the Google search engine and the first two things that come up is Guhle injury update. Right. I thought it was just ironic, Coach, that, like you put Guhle's name in the Google machine and boom, the first two things you see is his injury history. Right. So the reason I bring this up is, I know we've had, especially with PLW, I've had many debates over the last year or two about whether, Guhle is a piece that Montreal might want to look at perhaps trading. If they needed to make a trade with a bigger piece to get something big in return. And Coach, I know it's been a tough stretch for Kaden Guhle. It was the longest stretch of hockey that he had while he was away. During the first injury that he had. But I just feel, and we had this conversation, I think, over chat a week ago or something like that. But I just feel like my evaluation of Kaden Guhle, I think, is done. I think I have a good sense of what his ceiling is going to be now, what he's going to be. And I don't think that Kaden Guhle's value is going to get any higher than it is right now, even though he's had lots of injuries. I just don't think that he, for what he could get Montreal in return right now, and with all the depth that Montreal has on the left side of the defense, like you have Matheson, you have Hutson, you have Engstrom coming up. You've already got Xhekaj. You've already got Struble there. And, I think you're pretty locked in on the left side. So to me, if Montreal and Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes are going to be looking at what piece they would move in order to kind of get a really missing piece for something that they think that they really need, I think I'm at this stage where I think Guhle is the person that I've identified. Not just because he's not really reliable, that's definitely an issue, but I just find overall his puck skills, Coach, his puck retrieval skills, he's just a very clumsy guy too. He always puts himself in very, very different, difficult positions when he's getting injured. His puck retrievals are never very clean. So, to me, and I see, Gary saying you would move Reinbacher. Well, again, Reinbacher is a right-handed shot, Gary. And it's, I don't think it's the right time to trade Reinbacher because his value is not very high right now, just because he's had all his injuries and his development hasn't really gone as quickly as Montreal would like. So I don't know, Coach, I'm at that stage, right? And again, I'm not saying I don't like Kaden Guhle as a player. I know there's a lot of intangible things. He's a great leader. He's a great guy around the room. He would be great in the playoffs. But I just don't think the upside is as high as maybe we thought it was going to be. And if there was any time that you were going to move him as part of a bigger trade to get a second center, to get a top six forward, or to get a veteran, kind of like right-handed defenseman that could play with Hutson, like that would be a bit tougher and a little bit more experience, that would be the guy. I know it's probably not. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, but Coach, my evaluation is done. And I think I know who Kaden Guhle is at this stage.
Yeah, good point about that. Look, it's a good conversation to talk about. I think a lot of people in the chat, some will be happy about this, and then some will be disagree with that. There's a reason why Guhle would play 31 other team in the NHL. It's not because he's a clumsy player. What is wrong qualification for him? Guhle skater, physical leadership, high hockey IQ. A good point about that. Also, PLW.
I don't know, PLW, like, if he's not clumsy, why is it that he's always in a hunched over position in dangerous positions? Why are his puck retrievals not clean? He's always fumbling the puck. Like when he goes back to get the puck, he's not clean with his puck retrievals. If clumsy is not the right word, then let me know what the right word is. But he's somebody that always puts himself, like, it's at this stage, Coach, it's not just a fluke that he keeps getting injured. It's not that he's fragile. It's because he puts himself in bad positions and he's clumsy. That's the, I don't know if there's a better word, PLW, but that's the word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, maybe the word, maybe the me, I can understand the point about that. Like he honestly, some expert in hockey, like if you listen to RDS, some people said the problem with Guhle is like he have a difficult time to protect himself. Like he does not know how to protect himself against different situation on the ice. I see this different ways. For me, I still believe Guhle is great. I think he's rusty. I think it's really, for me, it's really hard to, and any players coming back for a long injuries, like not like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, but if you miss like 2 months and early in the season in October, example, or November, and then you come back in January, February, the problem, Marco, is like everybody, the shape is right here, and then you try to come here, and
listen,
you cannot,
I get it.
You cannot get that level about that. It's not an excuse. What I'm trying to explain to you is like you can see his inconsistency game by game, and then you can see inconsistency shift by shift about that. For me, I still believe he's still he play a specific many role for the Montreal Canadiens. I think Montreal Canadiens does not have a defenseman like he is right now with the Montreal Canadiens. That's my only problem. I said before I trade him, I want to be sure.
You have to get, I agree. So with that, I agree. Like if you're going to move Guhle, it has to be either for like as a package to get like a true second line center or a veteran right-handed defenseman that is the same style that can play with Hutson until Reinbacher is ready, right? So again, I'm not saying that we don't need a defenseman like Guhle that plays like Guhle, but I'm just saying that at this stage, like, is he going to play on the right? I just don't think he's agile enough. And people are talking about his hockey IQ. I just don't think he's agile enough to play on his wrong side, which is going to force Hutson to play on his wrong side. And we've seen, like, Hutson can play on the right, Coach, but we've seen how much more productive Hutson is when he's playing on the left side. So it's not about not liking Guhle. It's just the fit. You're already locked into Matheson now for that period of time. You already have Hutson. So you need a piece to play the right side with Hutson. And I just don't think he's a good fit. But he is the right type of player, but I don't think he's the right person. And what he can get back for you at this stage, I'm not saying you have to trade him, that you trade him like, you're just giving him away. I'm saying I think he's a very valuable piece, and Montreal could get a lot for him. And that's the guy that I would identify as the piece to move. That's all I'm saying.
That was bring my point to you about that. I think the type of goalie we don't have anybody to take his spot, right? Example, goalies show up when they realize the staff, he can take the spot of Romanov. And Romanov got traded to get a 13 overall pick and then to Kirby Dach. Good or bad, it's not my point here, but that's the reason. Yeah. So my point behind Kaden Guhle is he's going to be traded if they have someone can take his spot and play at the same level like him. That's the only thing. At some point, and I said that during the summer, if they want to improve the team, if they did this year, last summer, they trade 2 first-round pick and they trade Emil and Eman to get a right defenseman. At some point, if they want to go there, that's part of my rebuilding tonight. If they want to go to the next level, they need to bring someone on the top 6, winger or center. It's no matter for me. They have to bring someone, and someone you have to pay the price in return. With what they have possible. Kaden Guhle could be a part of this. My only concern for this, Marco, would be not only his play, his physicality to the game, the way he see the game, but also his contract is really, really appealing for the Montreal Canadiens because he's below $6 million and he's still 4 years, maybe 5 years to go with. So this is another area of the game that will be a little bit more difficult for me to trade because of that point with it. At least I get something where that would bring the you go to lose maybe this with the Montreal Canadiens, that this, but you gain boom, 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 and then you make the Montreal Canadiens better. That's the only way I would see that. But it would not be on my radar to make a trade.
It's hard to disagree with anything you said, right? But the bottom line is, where are you going to play him? Where is he going to play in the long term? I see PLW saying, oh, no problem. You've got Hutson, Matheson, and Guhle on the left. So you're going to really play Guhle on your bottom pair? That's the plan? Otherwise, you have to play him on the right, or you have to play Hutson on the right. And I don't like either of those options. And I think that playing Guhle on a bottom pair is underutilizing him, and he has better value than that, in my opinion. We have bottom pair defensemen already. So I agree, Coach. Like, he's a good contract. He's a good guy. I'm just saying, but I agree. I think we're kind of saying the same thing, right? Is that he's an important piece. Montreal would have to replace him in what he brings, right? But I just think that the value that he brings, because of the contract, the good contract that he has, the reputation that he has around the National Hockey League, he can bring you back a lot. So
yeah, definitely about that. For no doubt in my mind, you're absolutely about this. It's just, is it the time right now? Or is it the possible next year? We'll see what happens about that. But I think that the roster construction we talk about all the time, we fix maybe the situation about that. But at some point, they cannot all play for the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot all trace, like, a little bit like we talked this one week. One of you guys, maybe you bring this, Robert Thomas, and we talk about, can we willing to trade Michael Edge or Zarowski or someone else? But people gave Kirby Dach, and then they gave Rebecca, or they gave, you have to pay more. If it's not only one way, guys, you're not going to get a PlayStation trade in NHL. Look what's happening this way with Panarin. No, it's not the same thing with Panarin with Robert Thomas, but my point behind that, you have to pay if you want to get something huge and return to helping with that one over there. So, again, the time it takes, I will see if they want to get something. Maybe they say, you know what, we want Guhle to be a part of the top 5, and then they're going to use a prospect and to trade that one. But the time we tell us, guys, and it's all good. We had fun way about this one. Now, my guys is about this. Better and better. And I want to talk about, that's start my rebuild conversation a bit later. But you can see, guys, the improvement on the Montreal Canadiens. And sometime, Marco, the Wednesday, we do like the two fun subject. One is the stock market, the players, so you know that yet. And then we talk about the improvement Montreal Canadiens fun categories. And I said, you know what, he's coming. We're going to do that way. Now you can see, guys, the improvement 55 to 68 to 36, 91. And now they have 72. And we are not done yet. We still have 25 games to go. And it just gets better and better and better. And I don't know anymore. 11,000 Marco subscriber. Every day I make a question. I get about 1,000 to 1,500 people answer. Had a short video, about 6,000 watching the video. And I got comments, guys, about 100 comments per day on different area of the channel. Always have 5, 6, 7, 8 people does not like Martin Saint-Louis. Whatever I bring argument, they just don't like Martin Saint-Louis. But my point behind that, guys, is like Montreal Canadiens are getting better and better and better every single year. And this is just going to consist that way. Now, at some point, it cannot, 110, 120, and 130, 140. I understand that. But if you look about the improvement, Marco, of this team, and not only the players, but the staff. Martin Saint-Louis came with no experience like Coach Caufield came in NHL, everybody else, right? He learned, and he makes something really unique inside of that organization, the DNA of the culture of Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, and then Martin Saint-Louis behind the bench. His role as a communicator is excellent, and the players are all in, buy in, and they all grow together, all together. You can see the kind of the breakout season every year by different players. So my point behind that is just said, this is just the beginning. This is what is like. You have to, and we understand, Marco. We watch the game together, but the people in the chat, and then you have a bad goal, and then Thompson or Montembeau, or we get upset for about a couple of minutes and we blame someone because they lose tonight 5-2, but that's part of the season. It's not like negative overall. But I just want to share it with you guys. During the time we are the Team Olympic break, everything, I think we have to realize what we have in front of us. And I'm going to go on the next conversation, the next couple of minutes about the rebuild team, guys. Marco, I shake my head because we've been watching other teams with great players, McKinnon, McDavid, Kucherov, and I think we have those kind of players now. I understand maybe not McKinnon, but we have that kind of skill, abilities, talented in front of us, and I think we not realize yet, or we don't want to admit we have those kind of players. And sometimes, c'est quoi en français ou en anglais? C'est plus vert ailleurs.
The grass is greener.
Yeah,
grass
so
is greener.
I think we have to realize that, and that's the reason my headline tonight, and better and better every year. I don't know if you want to add this, if you want to add something about that.
Well, Coach, I think it's good timing for me to jump on the. You know how much I love talking about the rebuild, and we've been talking about it, for about a year now, that the rebuild is over now. They're in the roster construction phase. And recently Jeff Gordon, with an interview with Eric Engels, talked about it, right? He's like, we're in this final stage now where the moves that we're making are very delicate. they're critical moves that you can't make mistakes on, right? So they're at that stage where they have all these great assets. I agree with you 100% that Martin Saint-Louis, even though there's probably some people that think he hates Jack-Eye, and there's little pockets of people that don't like him for whatever reason, but Martin Saint-Louis is the core of the Montreal culture, right? Like we've talked about it before, like Nick Suzuki is the captain, but the real captain is still Martin Saint-Louis in that dressing room, right? He's really, really done a great job at establishing a great culture, within Montreal. And other than just the skill coach that you talked about, it's the character of the players that Montreal has drafted over the last couple of years. And we'll start at the big draft, right? The big debate between Shane Wright and Uri Slafkovsky. The reason and the big debate between Michkov and Reinbacher. Look how the character is kind of working out for those players. Montreal has been very, very careful to draft people that you can never know 100%, Coach. Like they're human beings, right? So you never know how things are going to work out. But they put a lot of attention to see, okay, is this person going to be able to thrive playing in the hotbed market that is Montreal? And there's no question, like, you look, the work ethic, the attitude, the commitment of the key young players that Montreal has drafted, Slafkovsky, Hutson, Demidov, these are not just skilled players, Coach. These are good kids. These are kids that care. These kids are rink rats that all they want to do is get better at hockey. And then you add on top of that the culture where the guys are taking less money so that the team can be competitive, like contracts that Suzuki, that Caufield, that Hutson, that Guhle, all the contracts that they took, to like, everything is pointing in the right direction. And you're right, this is just the beginning. And I've said this before, and then we can move on, Coach. And people aren't going to like this. Again, it's not going to be popular. Go back and look at Sports Illustrated issue when Toronto drafted Austin Matthews. They thought they had 10 years of they're going to win 4 Stanley Cups, and it was just a given. And if you ask a Leafs fan, it went by like that very quickly. The windows go by very, very fast. So yes, it's exciting that Montreal has this window that's just opening, but I think Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes understand that the window is brief. They want to try to make the window last as long as they can. So they don't want to trade all the young players, but you have to also take the opportunity when the team is competitive and strike when your window is hot too, right? Because things go by very quickly. So we're old, Coach. Like we've seen terrible rebuilds. Like we've been through the Pierre Gauthier, the André Savard, Marc Bergevin. You can criticize him if you want, but they didn't make it to the conference final and to a Stanley Cup final. So, but we've been through a lot of eras since the 80s and the 90s where Montreal hasn't been very successful. So let's really enjoy it. Like, to me, I'm really, really trying to enjoy it. And the team is enjoyable. Like if you look at the feedback that all the other, if you watch podcasts and shows across the hockey world, everybody agrees that Montreal is one of the funnest teams to watch. So we're very, very lucky.
Absolutely about that. I agree with you. You from the outside, right? I write with Chicago. I write with other team. Everything on that, I have a chance to talk with other team fans, and they see that. They realize like Montreal is maybe one of the most template rebuild, everything like that. And I think sometimes we don't realize also with that, we have a really good salary cap template right now. At long term, not a short term, at long term. When we're going to Clay Anderson and Gallagher next year, not this season, but the following year, we open up another 12. And it takes time, guys. Remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, guys, we have bad contract inside of that organization and bad players inside of that one. And then they start to clean everyone, one by one, year by year. And every year they get better understanding, but they get better also on the roster. And the draft, the asset they draft is coming. It's not going to be perfect, guys. You can talk about maybe they make a mistake with the trade for Dach, maybe Rebecca, and maybe you can talk about Mezar, everything like that. But my point behind that, Marco, has always been how can you bounce back from those mistakes? How you can turn around that mistake and then to satisfy with it. And sometimes you have to pay the price on the way. I think maybe the reason would example like imagine like Rebecca become very quickly like Owen Power. I think Owen Power has become now a top 4, right? So David Rebecca draft 2 years ago at 23, right? He's on 23, right? Almost 3 years now this summer. After 1 year, he's with Montreal now for 2 years, last season and this season. But that would maybe not open the door to a trade for Dobson, right? So that's the way I see that. So Montreal Canadiens, with their mistake, I think they're going to fix other problems they have. And I think you're absolutely right with that comments you bring on the Montreal roster and the building. And the windows close very quickly, but I think some team continues to performing year after year if they have a good people around the team, everything. I'll give you an example. Dallas Stars are one of them. Dallas Stars has been every year, guys. The Carolina Hurricane has been 10 years. The Tampa Bay Lightning now is 10 years. The Colorado, after they fluke with 9 and 2014, 15, 16, and then they pick it up, McKinnon, everything. This is a team, guys. They trade Matt Duchene, Ryan O'Reilly. He was very good hockey player for them, and they tried to get something in return, and then to make that team to go to the Stanley Cup, and then after that they patch up to stay live. But we have an exceptional player like McKinnon, example, or McDavid, or you can see, Marco, that push that team to get longer longevity to stay in the windows and to have a chance. I think for me, Marco, it's the Stanley Cup is like the cherry on the cake, right? On the ice cream. That's the top, and this make this better, taste better, feel better. But for me, I would prefer Marco to have a team to make the playoff every year, and they try to get if they make every year or every 2 years the final four, the final conference. For me, already there, it's a successful year. Some people want more, but for me, Marco, I'll be good. I think the dollar store represents exactly what my hope it will be for Montreal Canadiens. I may be wrong. I think Carolina Hurricanes is
Yeah,
number one, but unfortunately, Carolina Hurricanes is not the style of team I like to watch. Unfortunately for
no,
them.
but yeah. So let me put it this way, right? Like I always look at it like in this way. So when a team is in a competitive window, okay, there's a couple you can kind of go three ways, right? You can do it the right way, you find the right ingredients, and you build a winning team. Then let's say like a team like the Winnipeg Jets, coach. Remember the Jets, right? Like for the last 7 years, like remember when they had Bufflin and like they were just really loaded. And Cheveldayoff was often criticized for kind of sitting on his hands and not really making that big move that would kind of get him over the top, right? So sometimes you have teams that are a little too patient when they're in their window and they see their window completely fly by. Then you have teams like, say, the Leafs and the Rangers that maybe are a little too aggressive when they're in their window, right? And they sell all their assets and then they leave the cupboards completely dry. So those are kind of the extremes, right? Too patient Winnipeg Jets, and the window just kind of slides away slowly and they never really do anything. And then the Rangers and the Leafs, where they really go all in, they go with a top heavy team, they sell all their draft picks and all that. And you end up not winning, right? So I agree. Like there are certain teams out there that kind of find the right balance, and that's kind of what you hope Montreal will do here, right? Is find the right balance, know that when there's an opportunity to make the team better and take advantage of their window, that they'll do it and they'll be willing to pay the assets they need to do that, but then also be smart about it so that they always have have some young players that are coming in so that they don't completely go dry, right? I think that's the right mix.
A lot of comments in that chat. Everything on that, I appreciate a lot, everybody. On the song, hope my bad is not in a tap on his window about this. No, in a tap he is with his family. He had 3 or 4 nights. He have to be with his dad. So sometimes he missed the show tonight. Sometimes he's at home and then just text us in the chat. So I just want to share. He said usually he have a free Sunday night all year long to be at the red lights, but we do the show tonight because tomorrow we do the Super Bowl. So I just want to answer for the people in that chat. A lot of great comments, guys, in the chat. I appreciate that. We're going to move to NHL news. We're going to talk about NHL news for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we jump on the Montreal Canadiens. We have a very good content for Montreal because I think sometimes we forget about the NHL, but not much going on around the league, Marco. And one of them is, are you surprised about this? The Tampa Bay Lightning, the San Jose Blues claim Jack Finley for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Marco, what do you think about this?
Well, there's a lot of the St. Louis is a weird team to kind of observe, coach. Like for about 2 months now, there's a lot of reports that that Armstrong is going to be selling, but he's kind of known to be a guy that.
Thanks so much. Subscriber, longevity, wellness. I appreciate that.
Welcome aboard, longevity and wellness. Those are two good things that we all hope to have for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, like Doug Armstrong in St. Louis, coach, very hard guy to read. Sometimes you feel like he's bluffing a little bit to kind of shake his team up, just send a memo out there saying that nobody's untouchable and all those things. But so I don't know. It's an interesting move. You never know with St. Louis. Like maybe it's a depth move because they're planning to do something else. But it's a weird team. Like I think we all thought that St. Louis was, based on how strong of a second half, like Montreal and St. Louis were probably the two hottest teams in the second half coming out of the Four Nations tournament last year. So I think all of us kind of just thought that they would kind of pick up and where they left off last season. But for whatever reason, it's just been kind of like a weird season there, and just things haven't been working out. So weird situation there at St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's funny you talk about the Blues, and that reminds us, guys, it's like sometimes you rebuild and sometimes you're thinking you'll be there for a couple of years, and then the Blues never been rebuilt like Montreal, but they been retooled a lot and they make some fun deal. But look about that. They changed the coach last season. They come back stronger the second half, and they cannot hang in there. Look what happening with the big contract to Buchnevich, I think, and then the key rule, everything like that. And not blame a specific player for the Blues, Marco, but you bring something one I didn't mention on my headlines is about the character of the players, the culture inside of the team, how you can continue. I think the Devils, we always talk the Devils guys, they miss power forward, they miss physicality in the top six, everything like that. But nobody talk about the character and the culture inside of this organization. I'm not into that team enough to tell you it's a big problem, but something I think we don't talk enough about that categories or that segment about those elements and around the team. We just talk, evaluate players, everything, and what is missing. But I think this is another good point. I think I'm going to remember most about to talk more about the character and everything like that. I think that's pretty amazing. I'm watching right now, guys, snowboarding, jumping, jump. So they do only down one, and then they jump and they do all the kind of acrobatic stuff. It's pretty nuts. What
you know what's really cool, Coach, is just watching the Olympics. Like I was watching some of the slalom skiing today, and like the angles that because they have drone cameras now that follow like the skiing, and like some of the shots that they're getting like from the skiing with the drones, it looks so cool. Like the camera angles were always really cool, like for the last 25 years. But with the drones, it's just unreal the look and the angles that you get now with those cameras. It's so
look
cool.
About the Amazon Prime right now with hockey. Like this is amazing. About that. Ab rebuild, but still plus 10 player in the lineup of from Bergevin. Right? Not same rebuild as Anaheim, San Jose, and Chicago.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Coach. I had this debate with you in Entertap a couple seasons, or like a couple summers ago, because you guys were saying like it's going to take 7-8 years for a rebuild, and you're looking at other teams. And the thing that was different, and Hughes and Gordon have both admitted this, is exactly that. Like it's not like Chicago when they traded Dach to Montreal. They stripped it down to the studs, right? But Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes, they did inherit Suzuki, Guhle, Caufield, as a core three essentially, right? And some other character players like Anderson and Gallagher and players like that, right? So I agree. Like the Habs rebuild was kind of like, what was the real rebuild is when Carey Price and Shea Weber retired, because that was their core players, right? So to me, that's really when the rebuild started, because that was the nucleus of and the leadership group that they had. But I agree, like their rebuild was almost like a mini rebuild. It's not a retool, but it was a mini rebuild because they already had great young players that like I forget who mentioned it in the chat, but whoever mentioned it in the chat, like Caufield, Suzuki, and Guhle. That's a really good point.
Yeah, but that, it's fun ways. Like you talk about that way. I would say to you, PLW, you're right about what you said. You good point. Tony talk about, don't forget Bergevin. But I think when Montreal Canadiens are going to be the next level, right? I don't think so. You're going to have a lot of players from Marc Bergevin at the end of the day. And sort of that organization like they have right now. I think Anderson will be gone. Gallagher will be gone. I can call away like that, but I don't think so. About this, very sad story about Terrence Gore. He was a bench player that was very fast, but one through mental illness. About that, I'm flipping between this channel and Olympic. I like to, but keeping the sound on the from here. Awesome, Tony. Suzuki, Caufield, Guhle, Kaden, or Habs because of Bergevin. About that, they have a couple of players, but don't forget, guys, also. What's the biggest problem of Bergevin, guys? It was the development. How they build his players after they draft them. And I can go with, talk about character. We talk about culture. Look what happened with Kalchenok. What happened with Kokanemi. And I can go with other different players. But Montreal Canadiens, they got Suzuki, Caufield, and Guhle, like you just mentioned, in 26. It's nothing to discredit Bergevin. But I think the biggest thing for me is how they develop those players inside the Montreal Canadiens. And that's what something we don't talk enough. Marco also, this another point right there. We don't talk enough about that. So Gary Gourmet, Martin Zoe transform Caufield and there's many others about that. So we talk about the development about this. So I want to move on, Marco, because we'll be here for a long night. Let's review the NHL standing, Marco. So I'm going to go for the guys for the fourth standing H division. Marco, after that, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about those different teams and how you feel, what you think, guys, in that standing. And I'm going to ask a question, guys. You can let me know what you think. First of all, the Metropolitan division, guys. The Carolina Hurricanes 76, Pittsburgh 70, Islanders 69, Columbus 65, Washington 65, Florida 61, New Jersey 58, and the Rangers 50. And I wish I had the same from last season, guys, after 56 game, 55 game. And you could look about this, guys. This is not what we expect at the beginning of the season. You can tell me in the chat, and Marco, maybe quick in 1 minute, where you are wrong and what you are right about the Metropolitan division. Go that way, Marco. We're not going to see our face there, but we can talk behind the scenes about that. Just let me know.
Nobody needs to see my face.
Go ahead.
Nobody needs to see my face that long, yeah. People will be fine watching this. But no, Coach, probably the one thing that I was the most right about, I don't know if you remember this summer, but we were talking about how every year in the NHL, there's one 100-point team that doesn't make the playoffs. And out of all the teams that had 100 points last year, the one team that I identified as maybe the one that would have that fall from grace were the Washington Capitals. So on that one, I was right. So I'll take a little bit of credit for that. Where I was completely wrong, obviously, is the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. The Islanders, to me, and the Penguins are right up there with the biggest, good stories, best stories of the year. What a great job by Matthew Darche and Patrick Waugh to kind of like really, really kind of reboot that team on the fly. And you can see like they're buyers now, right? Like they just went and got Suzuki. They went and got Palat to kind of like round things out. So listen, like great move by Islanders. And Pittsburgh, to me, I still don't understand how it's going. Like if you look at the underlying numbers, I don't know how they're doing it. Like I don't know. Like it's just a shock to see them there. And obviously, it's a little, I think the Flyers are kind of in the mushy middle. So exactly kind of where I thought they were going to be. To me, it's the Devils that are the biggest surprise. I didn't really have a lot of hopes for the Rangers. I didn't see them being last in the division. And Columbus, like we saw how, like, remember I was saying how Montreal and St. Louis were on fire at the end of last year. Columbus was right there too, right? They were step by step with Montreal. Like I think they finished 1 point behind or tied in points, but we beat them because of our head-to-head record. So, to me, I was surprised at how badly Columbus was doing. But then they got the Rick Bonus vibes going in Columbus, and they've been on an absolute tear. I think 8-1. Out of all the teams, Coach, that are probably really upset that they're going on an Olympic break, it's probably the Columbus Blue Jackets because they're just on fire. So to me, the biggest surprise here, New Jersey Devils, in the negative, and the positive is Pittsburgh and the Islanders.
Exactly what I just wrote, Marco. You're absolutely right about that. Let's move on, guys. For Atlantic Division, Tampa Bay 78 and Montreal 72, Detroit 72, Buffalo 70, 69 Boston Bruins and Ottawa 63, Toronto 63, and Florida Panthers 61. So this is another division, guys, where it's a bit more tied up. But what do you feel about that, Marco? Give me again your best and your worst.
Yeah, the parity in the Atlantic Division, Coaches, I think it's the strongest division in hockey. Probably the best teams in the NHL are all in the Central Division with the Avs and Dallas, but the most competitive and the most even division for sure is the Atlantic Division. To me, the Panthers. If you asked at the beginning of the season, the Panthers in last place in the division. Well, we knew it was going to be tougher just because of Barkov being out, and we knew Tkachuk was going to be missing a lot of time. So you have to kind of exclude them because we knew that there's reasons why they're there, right? To me, the biggest disappointments here, for sure, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You knew that they were going to take a step back this year because of, and maybe they were going to look a little bit different, right? But I think the big mistake there in Toronto is they overestimated how good their defensive core was. They really liked their D core last year, but I was very vocal saying that Toronto's D core is too slow. Like there's no puck movers back there. They have a lot of good kind of like more tough defensemen, but they don't have the right mix of defensemen, and they've also had a lot of injuries. The Senators are a huge surprise, but the thing that's very misleading about the Senators, coach, is that if you look at their numbers, they should be right up there with Tampa, Montreal, and Detroit.
Oh yeah, the analytic number, Marco, like on different category are the top 5.
Yeah, it must be so discouraging for the team, because if they just had average NHL goaltending, they would be right up there, like you said, like at least top 10 in the league.
Yep.
It's a good team. Like Ottawa's a good team, so they definitely need to work something out. It's just very unfortunate situation with Allmark having, I guess, those having to kind of step away from the game for a little bit, and then unfortunately Metropolitan just wasn't able to come in. And finally, like again, we've been saying for years that Buffalo and Detroit were coming, so here they are. They've arrived with Montreal. To me, the other surprise is Boston. Boston hanging around, finding ways. They still have really good core players like Pasternak, and like it's goaltending, right? Swayman has a good bounce back year. You have McAvoy there, and so a good supporting cast. Geeky, I think, like is just kind of found money, right? Like who thought Geeky was going to be like a 30-something goal scorer, maybe even a 40 goal scorer. So Boston, they're finding a way to kind of stick around. They had one down year. They went and draft Hagens last year. So yeah, no, Boston is sticking around. Like so it's a tough division, coach. Like it's fighting tooth and nail to try to stay afloat in the Atlantic Division this year.
Good point about that. I was a surprise for me is honestly Buffalo and Boston, and the disappointment for me is Ottawa, Toronto. I cannot judge Florida Panthers because the injuries will not be nice to tell them at that part. And not Montreal, Tampa Bay, I put them on the first. But I would say what I'm surprised about Tampa Bay Lightning, guys. The only thing I'm surprised is because they play without Edmund, Point, Cirelli, Nick Paul, Vasilevsky at some point, Cernak. And you can tell me, look what the Tampa are. Look, the Panthers, they're missing Barkov, Tkachuk, and Kulikov, and then look what they are. So, two different teams, two different ways, and what they look like about that. Let's move on, Marco, on the Central Division. Colorado lead 83.
Before we move on from Atlantic, just John Cooper has never won Coach of the Year. If there's 1 year that he should win Coach of the Year, it's this year, right?
Yeah, you have also to give Pittsburgh and 26. He's mentioned that earlier. I think if Pittsburgh make the playoff, guys, it will be hard to not give to Dan Muse, like
you're right.
On that one. But we talk about this, Jay, a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about this after that. Minnesota Wild 78, Dallas Stars 77, Utah 66, 64, Nashville 59, Chicago 53, Winnipeg Jet 52. Will be easy, guys. This would be easy to call, but let's go, Marco.
Yeah, like this one I think is more straightforward, Coach. Like not too many surprises here other than Winnipeg, right? Like we knew that Winnipeg was going to regress, but I thought that they'd be competitive for a playoff spot. Maybe not top 3 in their division, but at least a little bit closer. But it's been a really, really disappointing season for Winnipeg. And I guess one note too is like, when are the Mammoth going to come? The Mammoth are supposed to. I thought that they would be closer. They're kind of in a similar stage than Montreal. They've been rebuilding way longer than Montreal. They've had way more, I think, draft capital than Montreal over the last couple of years, and like in the first round. Where are they, Coach? Like they have a great coach. Like they have good young players, but what's missing there? Like to me, it's still a bit surprising that Utah is not a little bit closer to being more competitive. And then listen, Nashville, Chicago, I think they are where I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I agree with you about this. Utah, I think, at the end of the day, Marco, sometimes it's just like 2-3 win example that give them 3 points. So I I think inconsistency will be my best description about Mammoth. I feel I can recall I could be wrong, Marco, but I think I saw that kind of team wins 5 games and then lose 5 games. Like,
Yeah, you're right. For
it would
sure.
be that way. For me, when you play Jet, I know there will be a difficult year, but not like that. And then how we cannot like the Colorado Avalanche. I know they have a slump the last couple of weeks, but Colorado guys was destroyed completely Central. But guys, I want to pay 2 minute attention, guys. We talk about the Atlantic is hard and then everything like that. But imagine that what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks in the NHL between the Dallas Star and the Minnesota Wild. It's going to be wild, exactly, because they're going to face each other. No doubt. This is a done deal on the first round. And I think they're going to make some move, Marco, in the next 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks, I'm sorry. But when they come back after that until March 6th to figure out what is missing. I think Minnesota are missing physicality on the defenseman, and they're looking for a center a top 6. The Dallas Star are looking to add a top 6 forward also as a center possible. And that would be very interesting. Are they chasing Kadri example? Are they going to looking for Randall Riley example? What kind of defenseman are they going to look maybe for Luke Shine or a physicality veteran player? They have Pokojan already there, so I'm not sure they're going to get that direction. But it's going to be very interesting what the both team going to do, Marco. I don't know if you want to add something there.
No, you're right. That's going to be what we would call an arms race, getting up to the trade deadline. It's clear the Minnesota Wild are all in, right? Like Coach, remember before I was talking about recognizing when your window is and going for it. That's what Bill Guerin is doing right now, right? Like he's definitely understands that it's going to be tough in that division. So, Minnesota, that old expression, in for a penny, in for a pound. That's where Minnesota is right now. They gave up all these assets to go get Quinn Hughes. So now it's time to walk the walk, and you need to load up and you need to go for it. That's kind of where they're at right now.
There we go. Finally, the last one, guys. We're going to go with the Pacific Division. Vegas 68, Edmonton 64, Seattle Kraken 63, the Ducks 63, Kings 60. Then you have the Sharks and the Calgary Flames. So the best or the one you think is not what they're supposed to be.
Coach, if Montreal played in this division, they would probably be first in the NHL. So in my opinion, the weakest division in hockey right now. Like I think some of these teams, especially the Sharks and the Ducks, are going to be very, very strong teams in the years to come. And Vegas, like Vegas is Vegas. They always find a way to be competitive. Oilers are being Oilers, right? Like they had a very tough start again but again, they find themselves in a division that is not too difficult to kind of to be in, right? And are you missing Vancouver from here?
Yeah, Mr. Vancouver, the end. I don't know if I put this in the picture or not. Here we go. Yeah, well, just my picture was too big.
they're so far behind that they don't even show up in the standings. So it's okay. So to me, this is I guess the only surprise here for me is Anaheim had such a strong start. They definitely kind of slowed down a little bit. And I'm a little surprised to see the Kraken hanging there. I thought Anaheim would probably be able to kind of like it's a dogfight between those two teams. So, but I thought Anaheim would have separated themselves a little bit more from Seattle. LA, I'm not a huge fan. Sorry, Run, but I don't really like what they're doing right now. Like I don't know what direction they're going. Like this Panarin deal, they didn't have to give up a lot. They gave up Liam Greentree, who was still a good young player, but I don't know what's going on. Like I am happy because Montreal got Philippe Danault, but they don't have any centers anymore, Coach. Like they have Byfield, and then who else do they? And Kopitar is going to be retiring, right? So
yeah,
I don't understand what's going on over there in LA.
Yeah, great with you. I think for me, it will be interesting, guys, for the next couple of weeks to follow the Kraken and the Ducks. I think the Ducks can make it, and the Kraken will be another team to follow up. Those kind of teams going to do right now. The Kings push for Panarin, but they're still hanging there because the division is not great, so they can maybe slide between a couple of teams. But I think for me, we're going to see that. For Calgary, will be interesting what they're going to be told or whatever they want to do. Vancouver be also another team like the Pacific guys. What happened there? So we'll be back right here, guys. on this one. We're going to move on to the next level. We are back. I apologize, everybody, to do that. But I think it was good to see we don't talk enough about NHL at some point. I think it'll be good. Let's talking about the Montreal Canadiens, guys, very quickly. We're going to talk about first what's going on. I'm going to give a couple of questions for all of you guys in the chat. Try to pick it up here if I have it. The rumor is the end of Patrik Laine possible. So we ask the people in the chat, you can give me an answer. And don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. Do you think, you know what, you're never going to see again Patrik Laine with the Montreal Canadiens this season or and forever? Marco.
I wouldn't bet on it. It's not like I just don't understand. And again, it's nothing. I've learned to really kind of like Patrik Laine as a human being. Like I think he really committed to being in Montreal, and I feel really bad for him because like let's not forget, Coach. Like he spent the entire summer in Montreal, seemed to train really hard, hung out with all the guys, doing all the right things, and then just had that another injury, right? So just I feel bad for him because I think it could have been different maybe for him in Montreal, but I think unfortunately the ship has sailed, right? Like sometimes it's just not fair how things kind of shake out, and I just don't see that there's any room for him, like for the type of player that he is. Like I just don't like. In order for Laine to be impactful, he has to be able to play in your top six, and the way that Montreal's top six is right now, I just don't see that he's the right fit. Like we know that right now Dach is kind of auditioning to be the right winger on that line with Suzuki and Caufield, and the last couple of games have looked really good, kind of like what we predicted after Slavkovsky dropped down to that line with Kapanen and Demidov. We all kind of looked at it and were like, okay, yeah, so this is a great opportunity for Dach with the history that he had playing on that line, playing really well. So if I had to guess, Coach, some of the reports out there, I think it's Nick Kyprios mentioned that Montreal is willing to kind of eat half the contract and maybe give away an asset too. They probably, again, like Montreal, we know that Kent Hughes as an agent is very, very mindful about the team's reputation when it comes to how they handle players, right? It goes back to all the way back to Jeff Petrie. Remember the Jeff Petrie trade? They wanted to be very careful. They didn't want to hold on to him for an extra month and wait for the best offer. Like they just wanted to give the player a good situation, right? So I think that's where they're at with Patrik Laine right now is they want to find him a good situation. They don't want to have to pay a whole bunch of, assets, but I would be shocked, Coach. Like I just don't see where he can play in Montreal's lineup right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you about this too. I think this is over for him, and I think Montreal want to move him out of the line, out of the roster. So I'll not be surprised he got trade before the team return on the ice the 26th, or they can open up the 23rd. I think they open up the trade. So I think there'll be one. Frankly, back in the house. Welcome, my stem, Barry. Everybody, thanks again for everybody. Don't forget, guys, to click on the likes. Next thing I want to talk about, we talk about this. I apologize, but I put this before the Marco came and everything. So we talk about Rossi. We're going to skip about Guhle, guys. We talked too many for a long time. Dach, Mr. Marco, 5 points the last 5 games. Kirby Dach in the chat. And for you, are you surprised his performance with of course, he's playing the first time, but overall, are you surprised about the performance Kirby Dach?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. Like, if you go back and watch our shows over the last couple of years, Coach, like I was always confident that Kirby Dach could play in Montreal's top 6. I just didn't think it could be as a center, right? So listen, like Jeff Gordon, I think just said recently is that Kapanen has taken a little bit of pressure off Montreal finding that second line center because he's done such a good job in the short term here with Demidov and Slavkovsky. So I'm not surprised, right? Because we know like he played 30 to 40 games with Caufield and Suzuki 3 years ago at the end of the season, and he did super well. Like it looked really good. And if you're going to replace Slavkovsky, like I wouldn't say that Dach has as good as hockey IQ as Slafkovsky. He's not as good of a passer. He's not as creative as Slafkovsky, but he has the same toolkit, right? He's
Yeah,
big.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
can win he can win 50 pucks along the boards. He can do like he's a good hockey player, right? Like he's not as creative, but he still can follow them, right? One thing that I kind of forgot is how good he is around the net. Like you see some of the wraparound plays that he's really, really good around the net. So, and remember that goal where he won the puck, passed it to Suzuki, then is that quick kind of play. I forget who that was against. It seems like weeks ago now. But to me it's the right template, right? Like Dach is the right guy to fit the template. It's just a matter of him staying healthy, coach. That's all it is staying healthy, and keeping his feet moving, and like, because I think he has all the tools. And if he can play there and play the same role that Slafkovsky was playing before, then that's one less hole that Montreal has to worry about. Then then you're just debating, okay, are we going to stick with Kapanen, or are we going to go for a more experienced center to try to play with Demidov and Slafkovsky? So it's a great problem to have, coach. Like, Kirby Dach has all the tools. He's big. He can skate. He's got good hands. So, to me, this is his last really big audition here. And, the first game or two, he was pretty rusty, but you're right. Like the last couple games really, really look solid on that line.
Good point about Kirby Dach. You nailed it about this. At some point, I don't know for the people in the chat, but the performance of Kirby Dach could make the Montreal holding everything and wait longer to put another top six and maybe go from intern from the learning, from get those kind of play they're looking for. Maybe Michael Edge or, of course, Zarowski, maybe everything like that. I'm looking, guys, at the top right now. I have two lights, one on both sides. And I have a bug right there. I have no clue what kind of bug it is, Marco, will be honest with you. And he just have a good time on the lights right now. But it's not a small one. It's a big one. It's not a B. But he's just hanging there right now, and he's just walk around. But I have a lot of things I find here sometimes. Last night I opened up the door for the ducks, and we built some kind of bamboo together to go in the under in case they don't want to go under anyway. And every time I put this out, I always find something. Yesterday I find like c'est quoi un mini pat, like une bébête à 1000 pattes, là, c'est quoi un...
Centipede.
All right. So I usually see them guys in Canada or USA, like something like that right now. And last night, yesterday, I think it was like 9 inches, like 7 inches. I know. So I don't know what kind again. I don't know what kind.
Can you bring those bugs back to the market in Taipei and sell it for the street food? Maybe, no?
Yeah, but they have on the market, like they sell a lot of crickets and all the kind of stuff like that. You take some and then you eat them, and then you crack on your teeth, like it's crusty, everything like that. But I did it on my other channel like 3 years ago at testing that. It was not my favorite meat meal about that one over there. So finally, that one, guys, special team. You have a power play, and then you have a PK. So let me know and tell me a little bit more how you feel about that, what you need to improve, what you have to do until the end. By the way, guys, the last goal of Gallagher on power play last again, we played Jet. It was the first goal, our unit number 2, sent November 18, Marco.
Whoa. Yikes. The power play, we'll start there, I guess. Like, it's definitely been hot and cold, right? Like, there's a period of the season where they were flirting with top 5. And, coach, I didn't prepare all the numbers and I didn't look at them, but in order for us to, like, when we thought about, okay, what does Montreal need to do to be successful this year? We thought they needed to have a top 10 power play. So they have that, right? So I believe they're 7th or 8th, I think right now is where they stand. But it's been a little bit hot and cold. The 5 and 3 power play has been hot and cold as well. But overall, listen, like, great improvement year over year. The penalty kill definitely, you know, it has a lot to do with goaltending, right? We haven't talked a lot about goaltending, and that's a big story over the last couple of weeks with Dobesh and with Eric Raymond leaving, and kind of how the goalies have responded since then. Penalty kill, coach, a lot of it has to do with goaltending. So since the goaltending has gotten a little bit better, magically the penalty kill has gotten a little bit better. One thing I do find a bit surprising, I don't know if you noticed this, but were you surprised that St. Louis is playing Danault and Evans together on the PK? It's weird, but I don't find I find Evans since he came back from injury has been a little bit sloppier on the PK, not like just kind of like losing guys here and there. Like he's usually so dependable, but I found him a little bit lost on the PK since I don't know what it is. I can't
No.
technically tell you
You're not
why.
wrong, Marco. I'm sorry I cut you, but because PLW mentioned like you something you missed last week, or you
Yeah,
come back one night, but
yeah,
PLW it's not the last game. Like he mentioned this like a couple of game ago, where is honestly Jake Evans. Before he scored a goal, right? He scored a goal like wow, the people. But I think on the PK he's not on the same Jake Evans on the overall. And I think you're right. I think but he used both of them for the face off. On the
yeah.
flip side, I'll be honest with you, it's not blame, but Philippe Danault play a big role on them.
Yeah, I think Deno has delivered exactly. I think I was on here before with you and Entertap, and I don't know if you guys were. I don't know. I was pretty excited about the idea of getting Deno. I think it would be a good fit, and I think it's worked out pretty well. You can already say that Montreal's gotten at least an extra 4 points, at least from him being there. Like some of the critical faceoffs that he's won in overtime and on tying goals and stuff like that. So he's already had a really strong impact. I think he'll just get more and more comfortable, to be honest. I'm really excited. One guy that we haven't talked at all about is that Alex Newhook, I think, is going to be back a little bit sooner than we thought. And I'd be excited to see a line of Deno, Anderson, and Newhook together. I think would be an amazing third line, shutdown line with speed, smart, like good puck pressure, can be physical. I think that would be really. Then you can put Guhle back down on the fourth line, not as much pressure on him over the long term. So bringing Alex Newhook back into it with Danault, I think I really like the idea of playing Newhook on the PK this year. Unfortunately, he got injured, but I love the speed that he brings to the game. So in terms of PK, like the good news, coach, is they have a lot of tools, right? So they have all the right tools. They just need to kind of figure it out more. And like I said, it all comes down to goaltending. If you don't get saves on the PK, then it doesn't really matter. So I'm assuming we're going to talk about goaltending. That's a big story, obviously. So uh, that has a
Yeah,
lot to do with
definitely
it.
about that. I don't want to put on the hot seat a lot, Marco, but the people in the chat also we can answer that question. I have nothing against you, but you've been really been like I said that really into the Christian Dvorak to stay with the Montreal Canadiens. You think you Montreal need a third center. Now he
Yep.
did not turn around that part of that, but he have a choice right now only for 1 year. All right. Do you take Christian Dvorak or Philippe Danault?
I take Philip Deno for sure. I take Deno just because of the playoff experience that he has. I think Dvorak can be a little bit more productive offensively at times, but I think Deno, just the intensity that he brings, he brings more. Like I know Dvorak was very close to Caufield and Suzuki. Like he's part of the team and he was part of the culture, but I think Deno brings a little bit more veteran leadership, a little bit more experience, and a little bit more intensity. And like it's starting good Chinu, right? So like just having him, he cares. And again, like I'm not saying Dvorak didn't care, but you can see Dano, like the emotion that he brings. So for sure I bring Dano, and it's pretty much the same money. So it worked out in the end. But I was right, right? Like they had to have like a left-handed center.
Yeah.
And again, I knew that it was going to be very hard for them to find one. And I still don't understand why LA traded him. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're going to be screwed next year. But good for Montreal. They're able to get Danault. He's a perfect fit.
And the
really,
cost.
so the cost is basically the second round pick that Montreal got for taking Laine, right? Is what they paid.
Yeah.
So to me, Kapanen being able to play center with the second line and having Danault takes so much pressure off Kent Hughes to go find that center, right? I still think they need it, but it takes so much pressure off him. And it, like any other negotiation, when you're talking to other GMs, they're going to see you coming from 1,000 miles away, right? Like if you're Kent Hughes talking to teams about centers, like in October, you're in a much, much stronger position now with Danault and Kapanen. The GMs are not holding a knife to your throat in the negotiation, right? So
good point about that. I agree with you for sure. Let people talk about this in the chat. Thanks again, everybody. Don't forget to click on the likes. And one more thing, I think I don't know you mentioned. If you mentioned, I apologize. Marco, twice sometime watching everything at the same time. The chemistry with Gallagher.
Yeah, like I think it's good, but like I was saying, right? Like I think when Newhook comes back, I think it's a much, much better fit to have him playing with Anderson and Danault. Like I think it's great, you know, like there's obviously a lot of history between Danault and Gallagher there. I just don't think, like, I think to me, like I would rather load up a third line with a little bit more speed. We know that it works, right? Like if if you need to bring up Gallagher once in a while to play with Danault on the third line, then that's totally fine. But I think in the long term, going into the playoffs, like I think we're underestimating Newhook, right? Like I think Newhook was having such a strong start, coach. It's going to obviously take him a little bit of time to get back into the groove. But adding Newhook to the depth that Montreal already has on their bottom six, like that's pretty incredible. Like that's going to be a really nice piece, I think. Do you see that? Like, do you see that fit? Danault with Anderson and Newhook. Like, I think that would be really good together.
I'm sorry about that. And 26, talk about this, guys. Next year, not this year, the upcoming year. After at the end, they are all gone with the contract with Anderson, Danault, and Gallagher. So that open up another like $17, $18 million.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Montreal were to extend Josh Anderson. I wouldn't be shocked because he's a pretty important part of that team, coach, on the bottom six. Like,
yeah, I need you. He brings some dimension they don't have a lot, right? And and I think at some point they could get that way. I agree with you about that for sure. No doubt in my mind. A good point. I forgot to talk about this the segment before we come back with Montreal. I want to talk about the Olympic preview. Jay asked for that too. I did not mention that too much, and I would like to hear from. Really quickly, guys, I'm going to go through this, and we don't need too much. On the women's side, I just want to mention Team USA is the top team right now. Team Canada second, and then after that, you have a couple of mix of the other team, but not at the same level like they was. But the good thing about the woman, I will say to you guys, it's getting closer. That's a good thing about this. It's not like it was before 18, everything. So I think it's good to see that. But I think at the end, it's going to be Team Canada and Team USA. I'll be shocked if Finland get there. But this going happening. But the men, now that's what we're looking for. We know what's going on with Team Canada. I apologize, guys. I did a graphic, but I didn't add the show tonight. We're going to talk more Monday night for Olympics. I just want to get an overview, Marco. What your expectation? What you see? Maybe the top 3 team at the end, and then if I don't see you Monday, but what do you feel about the role? Jay, talk about this in the chat. I think it's a good question. What do you expect about Nick Suzuki inside of that team? And let's go from there, and then we can talk more after that. Welcome back, Francois Pitt. If you come back here, welcome everybody. Don't forget to click on the like. I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, like, well, let's start with Team Canada, right? Like, so obviously a pretty big blow for Team Canada, like especially for John Cooper, right? Like, so his 2 Tampa Bay guys unfortunately had to pull out, so no Cirelli and no Braden Point. So that definitely opens up some opportunities for a couple of guys to kind of go up this what I would call the circle of trust with John Cooper, right? So we knew that if those guys were healthy, that they were going to play big roles just because he's coaching the team. So really leaves the question. So they end up replacing them with Sam Bennett and then with Seth Jarvis. It's Canada, right? So you can debate it's probably like at least 6-7 players that you could debate, that could have been on the team and replace those guys. So the question is, who's going to take over the role for Braden Point? Because I think Braden Point was probably going to be playing on the top line with McDavid. That seemed to be kind of what was working at the end of the First Nations. So the question is, are they going to move up Marner to the top line? It didn't really work that well in the Four Nations, Marner and McDavid. So in terms of Suzuki, it's not impossible. Could they try to put him up on the top line with McDavid as more of a defensive presence to win puck battles? We know Suzuki is pretty good at winning puck battles. So it could be a good fit there. So we'll see. I don't know if he's going to end up playing center, coach. I think he's probably going to end up playing wing. I think Horvat might end up being the third line center. But I don't know. I think he'll be in the top 9. Pretty sure he'll be in the top 9. I don't see him playing on the fourth line. Who do you think is going to get scratched? Do you think it's going to be Jarvis that's scratched? I think maybe they load up that fourth line, like Sam Bennett with Tom Wilson on the fourth line. That's a good energy line. That's an energy line you can put out there. That's going to be really physical and go down low and win some battles and cause some mayhem. So I suspect that Seth Jarvis probably the odd man out to start, and maybe Suzuki is the one that's going to benefit positively from Braden Point going out. But we'll see. I think the first practice, I believe, is tomorrow, coach. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I think at some point you're going to see, player what would be the speed and how they're going to fit inside of the top 9, like Marchand and Stone. That's really where I'm interested about that. I think Sam Reinhart is another one. We have to look about his role on this one. And then you have last season, you have Brandon Point, and then you have Mitch Marner. They are up and down. So there'll be another one we have to look about what will be the role. I think expect Suzuki on the third line. And you have so many good players. Sometimes they can move from the winger to the center to the winger. And I think people, but they never, guys, that level of the hockey player we talk about, they can play any position. They would be fine. It's not like they're terrible. About that, for me, Team Canada have to win the first game. This is a really important game. The next 2 games after that be a little bit lower. The Czechia, I don't think so. They can beat Canada, but I think they have to step up their game right away at the beginning.
There's always upsets, coach. There's always upsets in the preliminary round. And if you look at Canada's schedule, they have a much harder schedule in the preliminary round than the U.S. does. The U.S., because they're ranked number 1 in the world, they ended up getting the better matchups in the first round, right? So overall, just what I think the top 3 teams, I think that Sweden, you would have there, but there are just so many injuries, coach. So I think it's unfortunate for them, but they really kind of got slammed with injuries. To me, it's always Finland. Finland, just the way that they play, you can never count them out. So to me, I think the top 3 teams are going to be Canada, US, and Finland. I'm not sure who's going to win. It's so close between Canada and the US. The First Nations could have went either way. I think if not for a really, really crazy performance by Binnington, the US could have easily won that game last year at the Four Nations. So it's a toss. To me, it's a true coin toss between the U.S. and Canada for a gold medal, and then I think Finland is the team that's going to kind of sneak in there too.
No chance for Sweden.
So many injuries, coach. They're getting they have a lot of people, the guys that are not going to be there. So yeah, I think they're still a good team, but I still think Finland is a little deeper. So I'm going to go with Finland over Sweden.
Garrett C, welcome to the house. I think I would slip with Sweden. I just feel like Sweden is it's going to be fun again. I'm going to do the game meet because I think the rivalry between Sweden and Finland is so good, so fun to watch, right? Four Nations last year. I was in Pattaya in Thailand, Marco, and the game wasn't. It was at 4 o'clock afternoon in Eastern. Then Canada was playing at USA at 8 o'clock, something like that, whatever it was. So it was like 3 o'clock in Thailand, and then I was walking around, and beside the Black Menu, where my favorite bar in Thailand, they have another bar. It's a bar, but it's from a guy owned Finland. He's come from the country Finland, and then it was like so fun to watching this. I have about like 100 people there watching the game live between Finland and Sweden. I think, if I can recall it, Sweden went 4-3 in overtime, but I could be wrong about that. Or Finland, I don't remember, but it was good to see that for sure. But I think it will be interesting. I think it will be Finland, Sweden, or Canada, USA at the end of this tournament. I don't see anybody. It's just missing, guys, Russia. And I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about the war. It's not the point behind that. But I think we're missing the quality of a hockey player, the best of the world. And I think it would be fun to see what kind of team, the Team Russia, Ovechkin, Malkin, and, the goaltender situation. Like just the goaltender. Who do you select on the goaltender? Vasilevsky, Chostakin, and Sorokin right there, right?
Yeah, like I saw somebody on Twitter today because not a lot of people talk about it, right? But somebody released like what the roster would look like for Russia, and I think it's a good team. Like I think they're probably they would be the third best team. I don't think that they would be Canada or the US. I don't think they have as much depth on defense than they used to, but the forward group would be incredible. And it's the goaltending, right? The Russian goaltending is unbelievable. So much depth there compared to other teams.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. If you just show up like Garrett C, welcome everybody. Another from Winnipeg. We have Mr. Smith from Winnipeg. We have also Dan Asham and Colette from Winnipeg. Now we have Mr. Garrett C. Thanks to be with our Canadian show. I'm going to jump in right away. I'm going to skip a couple of things here, but this was a subject tonight, guys. The app rebuild is over. What's next? So, in my opinion, it is, I believe, this over. So I'm going to ask you, all of you guys, what you think, if you agree or disagree with me about this. And I'm going to give you some information there, and then you're going to talk to Marco what you feel about this. First of all, if you do playoff back-to-back, that's how they categorize rebuild over. If you go back-to-back years, you are over. If you go back-to-back, no playoff, that's where you can become a team can rebuild. That said, Marco, the Montreal Canadiens does not do back-to-back playoff, but I'm telling you right now, guys, I don't know why for Sen they won 4-0-1 the last 5 games. I just feel Montreal is going to make it like 99.9%. I know they are 92.4%, but still, in my opinion, they're going to make it. So I look about one thing, guys. Since 4 Nations, the Montreal Canadiens are 4 in NHL on the most points. Like Dallas, Colorado, is someone else at more points than Montreal Canadiens. Second, this is the goal 4, equal at third. Top 10 in the standing. 9 players have 10 goals a plus. And I can go with increasing the power play, the goal differential, and the performance of the team together. It's on the point, just on the point is really impressive about that. That's for me one other reason why I think that team is really rebuilt. It's over. One more point, Marco. Then after that, we're going to dive in. Edgeville player, Nick Ski, 65 points plus 25. He's on the pace right now to get almost 100 points. Caufield, 57 points, 32 goals. He's on pace to get 47, 48 goals. Laine Hutson, 58 points, plus 22. We talk about his defense is not good. He's plus 22. That said, 3 players right now we just mentioned have a goal, have a point per game average, guys. Never happened since Kovalev, because he did it last season. Now we have 3 players could join that kind of the play like a Kovalev did. Then you have Juraj Slavkovsky, 21 goal, 45 points. 21 goal is the highest number of the goal of one regular season. His highest number of the point is 51. He has 6 points to reach that in the next 25 game. Eben Demidov, the rookie in Montreal Canadiens, 12 goals, 34 assists, 46 points since the beginning of the season. We know what Demidov bring on the table. Noah Thompson, the new player for Montreal Canadiens, have 10 goals, 38 assists. I think it's plus 12 plus 13. Then you have Oliver Kapanen, 18 goals for the rookie with the Montreal Canadiens. And I can go with other players. I think Mike Mason play and then Tobash with 18W, everything. But I think that gives you an idea where we at right now. And for me, when I see that, like I said at the beginning of the show, we talk about my better and better for the Montreal Canadiens. I think for me, this is over for the rebuild. We have to see that thing where they are, what they look like, and what's coming for them. So, Marco, I agree or disagree with that part. I know some people said, you never finish a rebuild. Guys, a rebuild for me, you change all of them, and then you bring new players, and then you take time to rebuild that. And that's the reason I said the rebuild is over for me. So let's see what we get there.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like the true definition, like you said, Coach, of a rebuild is you liquidate existing assets to bring in new assets, younger assets, and you're restocking, right? You're rebuilding, you're kind of like tearing it down and building it back up. So you could argue, Coach, that the rebuild ended last year because last summer Montreal traded their 2 first-round picks. So that's the definition. If you're looking for a true definition of the rebuild is over, when you have a team that's trading their first 2 first-round picks, to me, that's signaling very clearly that they feel the rebuild is over. Now, like I've been saying here for over 2 years, now they are in the roster construction phase, right? They have all of the assets that they need, right? And they're the key, like we just talked about, is how are you going to manage the team moving forward, right? You don't want to completely empty your cupboards, and you want to continue to draft well and develop well. And so you have good young players on entry-level contracts that continue to come in and have good impact on your team as your window is open. Right?
Hey, Maxime Poirier, merci beaucoup. New subscriber de Hockey Nation Show, guys. Thank you so much, Maxime. Here we go. Go ahead.
Maxime. Bienvenue. Yeah, bienvenue, Maxime. So to me, the rebuild was over the minute that Montreal made the playoffs, and the minute that Kent Hughes was convinced by Nick Suzuki not to trade Armia, Dvorak, all those guys at the deadline. To me, those are all signals. The rebuild is over. You're no longer selling assets. You're no longer focused on drafting. You're focused on acquiring the missing pieces to the puzzle. And again, I read parts of Eric Engel's article. I have to read the whole thing, but he had this very deep interview with Jeff Gordon, Coach. I don't know if you read it. You probably, if you have read it, you know more.
No?
Yeah. But from what I know of the article, but I haven't read it, is that Jeff Gordon, what he's talking about now is that, okay, we know that we're in this very, very delicate part of the operation. If you want to compare this to an operation, okay, so the patient is now asleep, right? So the patient is under anesthesia, they're asleep. The doctor now has everything, and now he's about to kind of like do the operation, right? That's where Montreal is right now. It's very delicate. They have to make sure their hands are sanitized and everything is good, because this is where things can go very badly. If you make a bad mistake here, it can set everything back, right? So that's why Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes are being so careful here. And it's so, to me, things haven't changed, Coach, from the beginning of the year. They're still doing an assessment. They're going to see who's going to react positively and who's going to react negatively to the pressure of a playoff hunt, to being in the playoffs, right? Again, Kaden Guhle, Kirby Dach, all these players. And that's why our Wednesday show, Coach, was supposed to be looking at players. Are they trending to be part of the blueprint? Are they trending out of the blueprint, right? So right now, there's still some players that you can question, are they part of the blueprint or are they not? To me, Kirby Dach is still a question. We've seen some good games from him. Kaden Guhle, you can debate it. For me, he's still questionable as to whether he's part of the blueprint. And so you have to identify what are the key pieces that are missing. So yes, rebuild is over. Roster construction is underway. Like if for a lot of people that live in Montreal, we know that Montreal is infamous for always having construction. There's always construction in Montreal. Well, this is a construction phase, right? You're in a construction zone. They're trying to really kind of put the last pieces together. It's a puzzle, and they're trying to kind of make everything fit. So what you're seeing here, Coach, is the nucleus of a very competitive hockey team that just needs to kind of like have the right pieces around it to really make it go to the next level. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I'm I'm watching, guys, the figure skating. Whoever, what do you call it? Like it's a kid from Japan. I think he's 9 years old. He's so young. It's crazy. But they have some kind of jump map. I don't know if you saw that, Marco. So they have a map now, and they follow him on the ice. And then when he jumps, we have a green spot. It's very interesting. I'm just like, it's crazy, the technology, Marco.
Yeah. But Mark Elliott, Mark, I get I'm trying to think of a better analogy than an operation. I don't know if the boob job is the best analogy either for whoever wrote that. I think is it frankly talking. So I don't know if Montreal needs a boob job. It's more like a nip and tuck, right? Like it's more of a nip and tuck than a full boob job that Montreal needs. But I think you guys understand what I mean, right? I think the best analogy, Coach, it's a puzzle. You have all the pieces, and you might have one piece that's not fitting, so you need to go take some pieces that don't fit and go get the missing piece, right? So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. They need pull from Ovidio. As never end on that patron. Don't compare it to Montreal Construction. It never ends. But hold everywhere about that. Renaud, could 3-on-3 be in the Olympics or mixed men and women hockey team?
It is. It is. 3-on-3 is in the Olympics. That's why a lot of people were surprised that Team USA wouldn't bring Cole Caufield, because there is 3-on-3 in the Olympics. I don't think it's for the medal games, or it might be. I don't know. But I know that there is 3-on-3. I haven't looked at all the rules.
Overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 3-on-3 like competition 3-on-3.
Oh, not the whole game, but I thought he meant like, is there?
Yeah, but I don't know. I just bring this to you, but I don't know if he think about this. After that, he talk about the mixed team, a mixed men and women hockey team. So that will remind me of the curling. So I said maybe he think about a 3 versus 3.
Yeah, maybe. Like, to me, I would hate to see that. Like, to me, it's like a different sport, right? So I get the reason that we have 3-on-3 is because of television, right? Like you have to kind of fit it within a period of time that makes sense for a television audience. But the day that, like, I hope they never change the NHL playoff format during the playoffs, because that would be very upsetting. Like, it's probably my favorite thing is sudden death 5-on-5 overtime until somebody scores. So hopefully that never changes.
Renaud, I thought like a world game or mix. Yeah, that's what you just talk about this. I think the only thing is sad at this game is that it finished with a shootout, right?
I don't think, is it going to be like that? I don't think for a medal game, I don't think they do a shootout anymore, Coach.
Really?
I think it's probably.
I apologize. Yeah, I don't know the rules, honestly. But
I think they changed it, because that's the worst. Like, I know it was a nice moment. I think Sweden has it. Don't they have like a stamp that has the Forsberg goal where he won it? The famous Forsberg goal where he did the drag move or whatever. That's like literally on a stamp. So I know it's a nice moment, but I just don't like it as a shootout for like a championship game. I don't think that's good.
Yeah, it was the player from DJ Ushi.
Peter Forsberg. Well, yeah. Well, that wasn't for a medal. I think that was an overtime during the Olympics. but I think it's during the World Championship that Forsberg, not Philip Forsberg, but Peter Forsberg, scored that
Mark
the
talk
famous
about a
goal.
broken stick. A broken
I
stick.
hope Team Canada. I hope Team Canada doesn't have the same sticks that Hutson and Demidov have. Or sorry, it's Demidov. Whose sticks keeps breaking, Coach? It's Demidov and Matheson, right? That have the same
Madison have a
sticks.
couple of them.
Jeez.
Davidov is really bad. Like Davidov is
Jeez.
crazy.
But I remember reading that they both have the same types of sticks, and it's very sensitive, right? Because they have a brand deal with that company. So, but it's crazy the amount of sticks that both Matheson and Demidov are breaking this year. It's crazy.
Isn't that Caufield? No.
No, Matheson. It's Matheson and Caufield, or Matheson and Demidov have the same stick manufacturer. I can't remember which one, but
Hutson.
Matheson and Demidov. I think that's the
Hutson
only two.
got a one-timer shot, a really good one. Then he broke his stick also there.
I don't think it's Hutson. I think it's really just Demidov and Matheson are the.
Oh
worst
yeah,
ones.
yeah. I agree with you about that one.
Yeah.
Both of you about them. So it will be interesting what happened there. For me, rebuild guys. They are not there yet. They are done with that part over there, and I think now it's about to fix what they don't have. It's just patch up what they don't have. In my opinion, they're missing a top 6 forward. They're missing a right defenseman. About that over there, and then if I go a little bit longer, Marco, I think for me, they're missing someone. Have to be better at Alexandre Carrier.
Well, that's the right-handed defenseman, right? Like, if you have Carrier on your bottom pair, right? Like, that's why I keep bringing up Guhle, right? If you can trade Guhle, I'm just going to throw out a name out there, right? Like, I'm not saying now, right? But if you got, say, like a Jacob Trouba from like 3 years ago, a physical, defensive kind of guy, or like a better Luke Shen, somebody that can play in your top 4, that's right-handed,
Marco,
that's tough. That's who you want.
You talk about this, I will say to you, it's coming Monday. Your top 5 player you're looking for. And I think for me, when you talk about this, I'm not said to trade Kaden Guhle yet. It's not my point. I think for me, if I have to pick one player right now, because people talk about is the next subject, the trade rumor for the Montreal Canadiens, everything like that. Marco, for me, my best player I'm looking for is Brendan Schneider for the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
For me, it's fit exactly what you're looking for. A right defenseman at 24 years old, going to be RFA at the end of the year. He's going to give you maybe $4 or $5 million. He's going to be on your top 4. You go behind Dobson after that. You bring that kind of players right there. I think for me, he play on the same level like Kaden Guhle. He brings the same kind of game like Kaden Guhle does with the Montreal Canadiens.
That's the perfect guy, but you know the one problem with that, though, right? He plays for the New York Rangers, and they're never going to trade with the Montreal Canadiens because of the history with Jeff Gordon. So
yeah, but that, of course, it may be that conversation right there. But I think this is the kind of player I'm looking for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah,
people talk about Perenko, we talk about Luke Shine, you talk about Logan Stanley, everything like that, guys. It's not what I'm looking for. I think Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes, if they move, they're going to get a specific player around 24, 23 years old to 27, 28 years old with a good salary cap, and they will give them to have it's going to be a better team like they did with Noah Thompson. The Noah Thompson, guys, because he's a right defenseman, he's going to be 25 years old now, 26. He fit on the gap of what they try to accomplish. So for me, Schneider fit on that one. Now, I understand what you try to explain to me about the Rangers, but this is what you're looking for. This is the reason why Robert Thomas fit inside the Montreal Canadiens requirement of what you're looking for a trade. So if you look about an NHL, guys, take an exercise. Check everything. Check a player between 20 years old to 27 years old. and have experience, going to be a solid players who can help in Montreal on the top 6 and put that guy with size, of course. But this is what you try to looking about that Montreal Canadiens. I think for me, Montreal Canadiens have to fill up 3 spots inside of that team. And that's it. When they get the three face fill spot, the rest is coming after that around. And maybe 2. But I think they don't have, in my opinion right now, the top 6 forward. How they going to
again if Kirby Dach, so we just finished talking about Kirby Dach, right? If Kirby Dach continues to play like this and can fill the role that Slafkovsky is playing, then that might be a good fit, right? So when you say a top 6 player, so you mean somebody to play with Slafkovsky and Demidov as a center? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think for me, you cannot have a Kapanen and Kirby Dach together. You cannot have a Kapanen with New Hook, whatever you want to call it. You need to increase those 2 positions by 1 player. So whoever you're thinking would be an asset, I think Robert Thomas would be my best place, because now you have remember Marco and everybody, you have to have a very good punch. If you go too deep in the playoff, you have to have a very good punch 1 and 2 in playoff, and as a center position. So for me, I would prefer to have Robert Thomas, example. I'll just make a name right there, improve there, and then you can have a 6 perfect great player, Marco. It's, at the end of the day, but if the Kirby Dach is stay healthy, bring what he bring right now, I think it's not bad if you have a Robert Thomas in the picture. Now, some of you said, and I want to bring to you because you're with me right now, and I can change the position right there. We're going to go back here, Marco, because you've not been with us the next couple of weeks. And it was part of my next subject also. Are we be patient or we execute right now? Do we push the envelope right now or we still wait patient? And when I say patient, guys, I'm talking about the internal. And I'm talking about Michael Edge, Alexander Zarowski. Are we willing to wait 3 years for them and to pick up where they are? Look what happened with Caufield, guys. Caufield, it took him about 4 years where he is today. Suzuki took him a good 3 years before he went. Zarowski is of year number 4. Michael Edge, Zarowski is not going to get there and to get all the way to year 4 of Zarowski. So we have to be patient again with them. I'm not sure it's the right decision or not. I'll just give you an example. Not that I agree or disagree, but I would like to hear from you what you think.
Yeah, well, I've been saying it from the beginning of the episode, Coach, is that I think it's a balance, right? So again, if you use the most conservative example, Winnipeg Jets about like 7 years ago, right? Cheveldayoff, in my opinion, was not aggressive enough. And because he didn't make those moves, the Jets were never really able to kind of get over the hump. Then you have other teams like the Rangers and the Leafs that did it the wrong way, right? And they were maybe a little too aggressive and they sold everything. And then their window went by really, really fast, right? So I think you have to try to do both. Like Montreal has so many assets, Coach, that I think you can go out and move a big piece like either Guhle, Hage, or Zarowski and a combination of picks and whatever to go get a Robert Thomas or like the right-handed defenseman that you were talking about. But you don't have to trade all of them, right? So I would not be in favor of Montreal trading Hage, Zarowski, and Guhle, for example, or Reinbacher or whatever. I think you can trade 1 or 2 of them, but you need to keep 1 or 2 of your blue chip prospects as well. So I know it's like kind of a confusing answer, but I do agree that Montreal they can't wait forever. Like they have a good team now. If you have an opportunity to go out and get Robert Thomas, you do it. It's going to be expensive. It's going to cost you Michael Hage, Kaden Guhle, and maybe like a first-round pick or something like that. But Robert Thomas is signed for what, another 3-4 years? He's like this.
I think it was 5. I think the last time I checked, I'm right here. Let me check one. 1 second, Marco.
Yeah.
I have right here in front of me. Thomas got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with this year.
Yeah. So another 4 years. He's pretty much like, to me, he's like almost Suzuki, right? Like you could argue like in the like Suzuki has kind of overtaken him over the last year, but they're very similar players, right? Like if you have Suzuki and Robert Thomas as your first two centers, it's almost like you're sending the same guy for half the game, right? Like so responsible both ways. Like they're so similar. Montreal would be really well set up. So if you have the opportunity to do that, I don't think you can afford like by the time Zarofsky and Hage are really productive, Suzuki is going to be 30 years old, coach. Right? So, like I was saying, I know people don't like me comparing it to other teams, but the windows go by very, very quickly. So, I think you have to do both. Like you have to be aggressive, and you have to give away good pieces to give the if you have the opportunity to make yourself good, and it's a guy that fits and gives you 4 years at least. I think you do it. I think you pay the price and you do it. But it doesn't mean that you have to trade everything. Like I think they should keep one of Hage or Zarofsky, and they should keep one of Guhle or Reinbacher. I don't think you can trade. Like to me, those are four of the biggest pieces that are on the table: Guhle, Reinbacher, Hage, Zarofsky. Those are four very, very valuable trade chips, in my opinion. And my understanding is across the NHL, they would be pretty valuable. I think you can get away with trading two of those and a pick, like a first round pick, to really kind of get you to the next level. I don't know if you agree, coach, but I would not be mad.
I agree with you. I'm just reading everybody. PW, he talk about he's not going to get the same number of the point. Marquette is not agree with that. He does not like Thomas. Tony does not like Thomas. Will Thomas be a happy player? Play the second center. If not, you can compare us to other team and the window, just not Toronto. About that, Rob, I will not give Hage or Zarofsky for Thomas allowed. I will not give Hage or Zarofsky for Thomas allowed. You already hit the peak and about to go downhill, Rob.
So again, guys, like at this stage, you already have players that are that are progressing, right? So you need to bring you need more players that have a little bit more experience and that are currently in their peak, right? So I would say Robert Thomas right now is in his prime, right? So anywhere between the ages of like 26 to 30, you're in your prime. And so to me, he's right in his prime. So if you can bring in a player like that as a second line center, like coach, we were talking at the beginning of the season, if you can get 50 to 55 to 60 points from your second line center, you're good to go. Robert Thomas conservatively can get 70 points, especially playing with Demidov and Slafkovsky, right? So the short answer, coach, is I would be uncomfortable if they go too aggressive and you can't trade everything. You need to have futures, like I said, to have players that are coming in and playing on entry-level contracts, and you need to kind of keep the gravy train going. But you can't hold on to all of your assets because guess what? You can't play all of them. There's not enough spots on your roster to play all those guys. Like Michael Hage is probably going to become a pro in a couple months. Where is he going to play? Where is he going to play, honestly? And do you really want to bring in a guy like that and play in your top 9 when you're trying to win playoff games? Like he's a complete rookie. You're already the youngest team in the league, coach. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing sometimes.
You know now I mean? You have Jay said, "I would." Thomas is not a big forward. They need no physicality on that one. So Montreal Canadiens are be better to trade for a forward. We talk about Robert Thomas, but we can talk about other players like Matthew Tkachuk. And I said to trade for Matthew Tkachuk, but a prototype of the player forward like him.
What about Blake Coleman? Blake Coleman.
Okay, so let's go with Blake Coleman example. But how many forward an NHL play like Matthew Tkachuk or Blake Woods or Tom Wilson? Not many.
Like
So
under
you're
10.
going to bring a Blake Coleman, but Coleman guy is not a top six. He's a top nine. He's a bottom six. It's not fit the top six, and I don't think you have a lot of players are going to be traded at the same. We're looking for physicality on the top six. I will give you another name, Mason Marchand, with the Columbus Blue Jacket now. But is he a top six? Is he a guy can bring you 50, 60 points, 30 goals, 25 goals? Or you prefer a guy just hit physicality? Barbashev with the Vegas Golden Knights, what is role over there? Autre Palat, he did it for a couple of years, but we have Sakasi can do it. But again, I'm just sharing, guys, different possibilities right there. I'm not trying to targeting, not do this, not do that. I'm just trying to bring conversation.
There's not like those players don't grow on trees, Coach. Like you said, like there's not a lot of power forwards, that are like, like there's like 10 in the league, right? So these are not easy players to get. So to me, like I said, if Kirby Dach can play the same role that Slafkovsky was playing, which is be big, win battles, do like down low plays with Caufield and Suzuki and follow the parade, then that's good. Like, and then don't tell me that the top six is too small. Like Suzuki is under 6 feet tall, but he's thick, like he's strong. So I don't consider Suzuki a small player. He's not tall, but he's not small. The only small player that would be left in the top six would be Caufield. So let's say you have Robert Thomas. Okay. So you have Suzuki, almost 6 feet tall, over 200 pounds. Then you have Kirby Dach, 6'3", 6'4", well over 200 pounds. Then you have Caufield, small player. But then you have, let's say, Robert Thomas. I believe he's almost the same exact height and weight as Nick Suzuki, maybe a bit lighter, 5'11", somewhere around 200 pounds. Then you have Demidov, who is 6'1", almost 200 pounds. And then you have Slafkovsky. So to me, and Billy, I'm not saying I'm a huge, like, yes, I'm hopeful that Kirby Dach can be a solution. But right now, like that's the gamble, right? So you try to see if Kirby Dach can be a Slafkovsky replacement on that line. And if he can, that's a huge problem that you just solved. And now you're really just coming up with a solution. And that's if you don't think Kapanen can do it. Like right now, Kapanen is doing pretty decent. Like he's winning his faceoffs. He's pretty reliable. But there's no question that Robert Thomas would be an upgrade over Kapanen as your second line center. So like we said, like Eric Engel's interview with Jeff Gordon shows that right now this is very delicate, right? Like they understand how critical of a move this is. So they're going to be very, very careful, and they're waiting for the right opportunity to spend these very, very important assets that they have, because you don't have lots of opportunities to do this. So it's a timing thing. And I think Montreal, like you said, Coach, they are in a stage now. You could argue that they're a top 10 team in the league. One thing we haven't talked about very much tonight is Montreal's, in the month of January, they're number one for goals for. And like you said, they're the second best team goals for in the NHL. They are still right now, pulled it up. They are 3.46 goals against per game. That's a little bit too high still, based on kind of what my analysis was at the beginning of the year. They want it to be like a little less than that. But I think a lot of that is goaltending. I think Montreal doesn't give up as many high scoring, danger scoring chances than they did before. Their shots per game are down as well. So one thing we haven't talked about is goaltending, Coach. So that's going to be another critical thing here. We saw the last few games from Dobeš I found very reassuring. As you know, like the biggest concern I've had with him is just how scrambly he is in his net and how busy he is in his net. But definitely I've seen, it wasn't perfect, right? But definitely a lot more quiet in his net, a little bit more composed. And then you saw a really, really strong game from Montembeault the last time he was out. So if Montreal can just get good goaltending, like around 900 save percentage, like goal, like, NHL average goaltending. I think goaltending is fine until Jacob Fowler shows up. And really, you're just looking at what you want to do in terms of those upgrades. So I can see why Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes are being very careful here, because the next couple moves are going to make or break this whole program. So it will be very interesting to see kind of what they do.
It's interesting because I'm reading all the comments right there, and you have different opinion. It's no one is wrong here, but we have different opinion. Like you, Dan tends to go from the inside. If you have the right piece of the puzzle, you fix that trait. Some people don't like Robert Thomas. Some people think Kirby Dach is not the solution. Some people thinking we don't change anything. We have to be patient more and more. Where I think it's not bad, because I think Montreal Canadiens, to be honest with all of you guys, Montreal is not there yet. I still believe one more year. And I think this is because until we have Dano, all right, Carrier, Anderson, Gallagher, all right, and now we have Villeneuve, but Villeneuve will be out very soon, okay? Those players right there, right? And I'm talking about Strobel, Jekai, and I can add with that Marco Montembeault. One those players will be out in 27, 28. This is where I believe Montreal can have to find those kind of information we're looking for tonight. This is what I believe about that, because that will give them another year, and I think they are not there yet, because whatever you add right now, we're still not there. Now, if you think a long term, if you think that player will helping you a long term, that's another conversation about that. Those kind of trades, I think they're happening more during the summer at the trade deadline, first of all. But if it's happening next summer, guys, they will have to figure out something else. Again, because some of you thinking, no, let's see if Michael Edge and Zarowski's coming, and then we can move on. I'm worried about that when we're good to get there. We talk about a minimum of 3 years, Marco. Talk about players going to be 30, 31, 32 for the Montreal Canadiens, and going to be get there. And I think it's a lot demanding, in my opinion. I think for me, I said, not right now, next summer, if you have an opportunity, and then clean up the house after that, and then open the door for different players. Obviously, guys, in Laval, we don't have enough right there. And you have only 3 names: Rebacker, Engstrom, and Fowler, and I'll be a question mark for David Rebacker. The rest, guys, you can talk to me about any others, like Jekai, everything like that, guys. I apologize. I know I said, Coach, you don't like Jekai. It's not Jekai. Look, Owen Beck right now. Look, Florent Jekai with Laval, guys. This is just little bit a piece. It's not, you cannot make your foundation with those kind of players. We'll see what they're going to develop in 2-3 years. But I think, Marco, I don't think we need to wait 5 years to see Michael Edge and Zarowski at their best to make that team where they want to be.
So I don't agree, Coach. Like, I don't understand why you're waiting for Dano, Gallagher, Anderson, for those guys to age out or leave, because right now they're very valuable in your bottom 6 already. Like, if like I was saying earlier, if you have Dano, Anderson, and Newhook as your third line, name me that. To me, pretty confident in saying that's at least top 10 best third line in the NHL.
But now, Marco, when I said that, it's because the contract finished next year. That's my point.
Yeah, but the way that you're saying it is, until those guys are gone and we can improve our bottom 6 even more. Like, to me, our bottom 6 right now is very good. Like, it's our depth is
Marco,
very.
I said you wait until then they leave. Then you need to make some move.
Yeah, okay, but like I don't like, but you're saying like this year is not the year, we should wait until they're gone to, like, that's what I don't understand. Like, I'm saying right now, Montreal is number 2 in the league for goals for, like you were saying, right? So, and overall, like, I think their goals against would be better if they had NHL average goaltending. So now that they've added Dano, I think, and once you bring in Newhook, again, I'm being conservative, but I confidently could say, like, if you look at, if Montreal like had Danault, Anderson, and Newhook as your third line, it's one of the better third lines in the NHL. And then you have like Evans, Gallagher, Texier, or whoever you're going to put on your fourth line. That's also a very good fourth
But
line.
Marco, okay, and this is we are agreed together. Now let's move on next year. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We are right now next season. Right now, think about this. We are March 2027. Those kind of players are now with Montreal. They are finished to complete the contract. Are you going to resign Anderson, Danault, Gallagher, and Newhook and Montembeault? And we're not talking yet about Kirby Dach, by the way.
Yeah. So again, there's certain questions, right? To me, if there's a deal to be done that makes sense, I would bring back Josh Anderson. I still think, like, my philosophy, Coach, is I'm okay signing free agents over 30 if their skating is elite, and there's no question that his is. So I have no problems re-signing Josh Anderson. He's a huge he loves the room. He loves it. Like, he's a big part of the team. No problem doing that. Danault, to me, is a wait and see how he's doing, right? Like, but to me, like, again, like, you could, like, maybe at that point Beck is ready to come up. Kapanen, if you end up getting a second line center, Kapanen then kind of comes in. So I'm not too worried about that. All I'm saying is that all those things in the bottom six that are going to happen next year don't change the fact that you could still make a move this year. Again, example, trading some key pieces for Robert
This
Thomas.
year for you, is it now or this summer?
Now. Why not? Like, well,
okay, now okay,
if
that's what I'm not agree with you. Now it's not.
Let me be clear. But let me be clear though. When I say now, if the opportunity is there, like, you're not gonna, like, I wouldn't say you're not like you're not a team that's at the end of their window and you're forced to be super aggressive, right? Like, remember I was just saying that Minnesota has to be aggressive, right? Because they just went all in. Thank you, Stephen O.
Even E. Hey, sorry.
There you go. So if you compare it to Minnesota, they put themselves in a position where they have to go all in pretty much, right? Because they already spent so many assets to go after Kent Hughes and all that, right? So to me, that's a team that's in a bit of a different situation. So for Montreal, you don't have to buy and make a big move this year. But if the opportunity is there, then you do it, and you spend the assets to do it. But it's a matter of, is the opportunity there or not? So to me, you're not waiting on purpose. You're not saying, no, we're not going to do anything this year. We're going to just wait and see. If the opportunity comes up to make your team better, you do it, because your team is good enough right now to be competitive. So I think that's pretty clear. So I don't think it has anything to do with this year versus next year. It's more about finding the right opportunity. Yeah, finding the right opportunity.
Yeah.
And being willing. And Kent Hughes has said it for years now. When we're at the right stage and we have the right opportunity, we will overpay to get the player that we need. And the good news is that Montreal has the assets to do that. Like, they can afford to overpay. So to me, it's pretty clear what the plan is, right? So if a trade is there for Robert Thomas or a player like that fits perfectly in that mold, and it's going to cost you. Some people here are not going to be happy. But similar to Danault, right? Like, everybody was like, oh my God, like, why are they trading for Danault? When you see him join the team, it's like Carrier, right? Carrier joins the team last year and he fills a hole. And all of a sudden the team is totally different because there's a guy filling a hole. So some people might have been nervous about Danault coming in, but you see the results in the last month, like the gap that was there for Montreal in terms of faceoffs on the left side. So it might be hard for fans to see and to understand the price to pay for a player like that. But once you see him in the lineup and once you see how he would fit in, I think it would be well worth the price. But we'll see.
Yeah, different people. Tampa is the favorite, but Montreal could beat in the series Buffalo, Boston, Carolina, Pittsburgh, New York, and any other team. We want to bash. Luciano PL, I cannot believe Super Bowl Saturday and still drinking coffee. PLW, you're a good man. PLW, that's a good way to do that. Lee said that between the Wild and my Habs team and prospect and Guhle, je prends le bleu blanc rouge. I'm sold to the Habs about that. Again, I think this is. I wish this to kind of show we have more people, because I think this is a good conversation we have, and it's fun option, it's fun opinion, and they have nobody is right or wrong about that, but it's fun to see how you see that, how you're looking for, and what you thinking Montreal should do, should not do, everything, and that's fun perspective. You think Robert Thomas is an answer what they're looking for, and then some people say no, I don't like Thomas. I would like to bring a winger with more physicality at compared to Kirby Dach. And then some people say, no, we need absolutely a right defenseman. How about that? Some people, we never trade Kaden Guhle. You say you're going to trade Kaden Guhle. That thing again, you, by the way, just mentioned what we said on the show tonight.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you, Coach.
Yep.
Which would you rank in importance, a second line center or a right shot defenseman to play with Hutson? Which one do you think is more important?
That's a good question, by the way. With the personnel deploy we have right now, I will still go with a second center or a top six forward.
For me, it's the opposite. I would, if I could only choose, if somebody told me, okay, so if Montreal could trade an asset to get a top 4 right-handed defenseman, a la Schneider, like the guy like you described. I think it will be him, because against the Rangers, unfortunately, won't trade with Jeff Gordon. But a guy like that versus Robert Thomas, to me, it's the defenseman, because I think the forward group right now, it's not perfect, right? But I think Kapanen is doing an okay job there. There's good chemistry, and you give him another year to kind of see how that plays out. I think that there's enough depth at at the forward group to kind of still play around with things. But to me, the biggest problem is a right-handed shot defenseman that's a little bit more physical, like Kaden Guhle, but that can play on the right to play with Laine Hutson. I think that's the biggest priority.
So for me, I said no, because because for me, we have a personnel of 5 defensemen can fit the top 4, or they are better the top 5 at what we have right now with Kapanen and Dach together. I think if you bring a players better, if you have the trade for trade, I think that player would be a better fit for the Montreal in the top 6, because you improve over Kapanen or over Dach at what we have in the defenseman. Because if you remove one defenseman, and then I think you still have Carrier there, Guhle, Madison, Dobson, and Hutson.
The defense is not. The defense is not physical enough, though, Coach. That's much. So remember, I don't know if you heard everything I said when I was talking about Toronto earlier. Remember, I said last year people were over impressed with Toronto's blue line but they all have the same. They have too much of the same kind of guy, right? They don't have any puck movers. They all have kind of more physical stay-at-home defensemen, other than Morgan Riley, but he's not the best puck mover, right? Montreal is the opposite. They have too many puck-moving defensemen and not enough physical defensemen. Again, Guhle's supposed to be that guy. For whatever reason, the coaching staff doesn't trust Xhekaj to play. Xhekaj is physical, but he's not a shutdown defenseman, right? At this stage in his career anyways, or at least the coaching staff doesn't trust him to do that. So to me, especially going into the playoffs here, I love Montreal has a dynamic blue line. Matheson, Dobson, and Hutson, amazing puck moving offensive defensemen. But the mix, remember we talked about it's a puzzle, Coach, right? Having the right mix. Montreal's mix right now, even though it's exciting to watch, it's not the right mix. That's my prediction. The D core that Montreal has right now, fun to watch, not the right mix. Guhle, in theory, should be the guy, but can he play right and can he stay healthy? That's the question.
Yeah, I understand your point of view about this, but you think about Dobson, Hutson, Madison, and Carrier. They are right now the top four. Then after that, you have a Guhle go back on the top right there. If you do that, you move on the left winger, Hutson or Kaden Guhle. About that? I think Montreal will be enough for that part over there. I don't think so. They will move those four players, in my opinion. And if you think about this with extra Carrier, and then after that, later maybe have Ekstrom, Rebacker. I think Montreal Canadiens, Oliver Kapanen. And if you have Kirby Dach, I think you need a top forward, top six, better at Kapanen and Dach to bring the next level for the Montreal Canadiens. I think the difference between both for top six and the defenseman you talk about, I think Montreal need more on my forward at the defenseman.
But coach, how can you argue that when Montreal's number 2 in the league in scoring?
Yeah, but I understand that. Yeah, but they don't have enough for the top six right there. They need more for the top six. At some point, you need more goals. I'm sorry again.
To score more goals. Sorry, why? To score more goals?
Because look about 5-on-5, Suzuki at 10 of his 21 goal and power play.
Montreal is number 1 for 5-on-5 goals in the month of January.
Yeah. You talk about 1 month, but you don't expect to carry on a team all the way with Kirby Dach and Oliver Kapanen. It's not.
They're not. But they're not the core players, coach. They're complementary players. So again, if Dach can play the same role that Slafkovsky is doing, or that was doing on that line, if he gets you the same 50 points that Slafkovsky got you last year, or the prorated amount of that. And if Kapanen, same thing, if he gets 40, 50 points, but Demidov and Slafkovsky are getting 60
Marco. It's about chemistry, complementary. Dach is not going to bring the physical of the game. Dach is not going to bring the hunting guy. He's not going to be the chaser guy. He's not going to help paint those two players what they don't have. You need a player to complementary them to get that. Kirby Dach is not that kind of player, unfortunately, for the Montreal Canadiens. And that's what I think you need to add players more talented and more physical. I don't know who they is. I'm not talking about someone. And then I would say to you, if you don't get that players, at least you have to sacrifice to get better at Kapanen. On a long term, a little bit later, you talk about this early, but I would say, I think for me, a Kapanen, a new hook, fit well on the third line. That would bring a lot of depth on that line if you get a center like Thomas, but you can mention another name. It's not a big deal right there. But I just feel, at the end of the day, guys, I don't think, for me, you have to wait for Michael Edge, Alexander Zarevsky to make the Montreal Canadiens, to make that kind of play they are missing. I think I need the next 12 months to 18 months, Marco. Worst case, 18 months. Montreal Canadiens have to trade a minimum of a top 6 forward. We don't talk about name. A top 6 forward and possible a right defenseman on that if they think, and I don't think so, guys. I look Rebacker, and I've been a really, 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 really defender about Rebacker since day one. But the last 2 months, or at least 1 month, but more 2 months, Rebacker, guys, I'm really questionable if he can beat that kind of player. But again, at the end of the day, Marco, Rebacker is going to bring with Montreal again. It does not fit on what we don't have. Does it make sense? Like we need a defenseman with more physicality behind those kind of players. We have Thompson on that one.
Physical, but at least a stay-at-home responsible defenseman. I think he will be a very responsible defenseman. Like right now, I think in Laval, he's still trying to be too offensive. Like if I was them, I would kind of really be trying to develop him to focus on that part of his game. Like it's kind of like what Matheson said like a year ago when Hutson showed up, right? He's like, or even Jacky has said this before. He's like, listen, like they're like, oh, who's that little guy?
And that my little puppy.
What's his name?
I found her on the street, and she was like 4 weeks, and then she's 2 months now, and then she She's with me, and then she's always with me every day. And now she's calm. It's rare she's calm. She like to play a
That
lot.
is
So yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
I love dogs, Coach. Dogs are the best. Dogs are the best. So congratulations on your new buddy.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see
awesome.
how long we keep here, but so far she's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Would be I don't want to hold you long enough. It's 10:45-7, but great to see you, my friend. Thanks to be with us. I think we have a lot of great conversation. And next week we are back again tomorrow night. So if you have one of the night, you open up. I think the people enjoy your conversation, everything like that. So I think it will be good. We'll stay in touch together for sure. But one prediction, Marco, before you go. I know maybe not a big fans, but again, it's the Super Bowl. Yeah. You have to tell us who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I really, from what I understand, I think Seattle's probably favored to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't followed it too much. Like, all I can say is I was surprised to hear that the Patriots made it because I thought that, Belichick's not there anymore. And so I guess good for New England getting back to the big game that quickly after we're talking about rebuilds and resets. So good for New England, but I know very little. I'll watch the game, but I don't follow very much. But I'm going to say Seattle. I don't know.
Seattle, all right. I go with the Pats because it's more my favorite team, but it's just like I feel like I go with I like underdog. Always been underdog, but I will go with New England tomorrow, Marco. And 21-17, Marco. I go with the score tonight, 21-17.
All right.
For the game tonight. Thanks again, Marco. I'll stay in touch with me and let me know. Thanks for everything. Glad to. We miss you, buddy. By the way, we really miss you. And hopefully we can get a night with Jim Berringer, you and Marco and Artap and many others. So that'd be good.
For sure.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you in the next one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Marco Larrabee, guys, with the Hockey NHL Show tonight. Hold on. Now she wants to be with me for the night. It was a great conversation, guys, tonight. We're hanging there for over 2 hours together. And definitely we're going to be back Monday night talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Jim Berringer, I believe, is coming with NRTAP next week. And we're going to have 2 conversations tonight of the Montreal Canadiens also next week. Tuesday, we do the American Hockey League All-Star Game. We're going to be live now more during the day and afternoon for the Olympics. Don't miss it. We're going to follow now the Hockey Olympics and the Super Bowl tomorrow night. Join us live. I'm doing all the graphic. Watch my play-by-play. The quarterback and the pocket for the first down. First down. There we go, guys. Hopefully an amazing, great night. We appreciate a lot. And, of course, I can wait to see all of you tomorrow night for the Super Bowl. We'll be live at 6 o'clock. We're going to do a preview game. A pre-game show with all the stats compare for both team, everything, and I can wait to see all of you. And she wants to say, have a good night, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. We want to see them. Huh? She's a lovable, but she's sometimes pissed me off with all the stuff she picked. She's growing. She's bigger. Now she's jumping on the chair, and then she just likes to pick my finger right now. Look, that's what she likes to do. She likes to grab everything, shirt, shoes, everything. So, but we love her, and that's the most important thing. I'm coming with the Adventure of Bronny very soon, by the way. I'm going to give you more information about that. That's all we got tonight on the great Habs Hockey Nation. I can wait to see you guys tomorrow night. And we had a great conversation tonight, guys. I appreciate a lot. Man, Zarowski is going to be a deadly player for us, Mr. Man. I agree with you. Zarowski and Michael is going to be great hockey player, but still, we can't wait or not for them. That will be a great question about that. So let's go Seattle. Garrett, PLW, skeptical facts about that. People forgot last year. We on for stream about this one. And I can't wait to see all of you guys at the Hockey Nation Show. And let's see what we got here. And that's it. That's all. Thanks, Alger Calabo, the news update. Thanks so much for all the like we got tonight. And thanks to Bill John that we got a couple of new subscribers tonight. That's what we do here every single day. Every single day. When we have the power We don't have no power. We cannot do anything. But Coach, I'll be here every day with my puppy, Brownie. Have a good night, everybody. And the reason we get better and stronger is because of Mr. Mark Elliott, because he is. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. You heard her. She's tired. She wants to go out. She wants to play outside. Thanks so much to be with the show tonight. I can wait see you tomorrow. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only to dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the first app or what? (2026) have an amazing, great night. The Hockey Nation, the Habs Nation, and all the animals. And the Kingdom of Kaden want to tell you one more thing, sir. We love you, friends. She's cute. She's cute. She's a good girl. Thanks so much, Cash Fan. Again, Glenn. Good night, everyone. Glenn, thanks so much. My friend Billy, Tony. Thanks, my friend. À la prochaine, mon ami Tony. Jérémy Nadeau. Don't forget to click on the like, appreciate that. François Pitt. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. François. Go play with Bernie now. Yeah. We're going to see the Ducks if they are looking for some food and water. Sunday here. And that's what we're going to do today. Go to the grocery store. Hey. Oh, good night, Roger Calabro, Jeremy, Eminem, Booyah, Mark